Hi, I'm James, and this is a tutorial on how to get started with the HTML5 Video Player Pro plugin from ZeroCode. Just before we jump into it, if you need any help building your app or product, feel free to reach out to our team by visiting our website at zerocode.com. We're the largest maker of plugins for Bubble, as well as the top gold tier Bubble agency. We have almost 10 years of experience and can help you build any web, mobile, or AI product, or even help automate your business. While you're there, make sure you check out zerocode.com/plugins. This is the full list of all the plugins we make, and there's like over 700 of them. So there's something there to cover pretty much everything your app could possibly need to do. For example, there's Stripe Marketplace Express. This helps you accept credit card payments on your app. There's Mapbox Maps, and this gives all sorts of maps functionality. This one's really good for saving on Bubble's hosting costs. This is AWS File Uploader, so you can store your files on your own S3 bucket. There's Air Calendar, there's Air Chat and Messaging. There's so many more there, so definitely explore that and check that out. So let's take a look at the plugin page and have a bit of an overview of what this plugin does. So this is an HTML5 based video player that has a bunch of really nice features here to enhance the user experience of users of your app. These are things such as having a static file as the video source for the player, or dynamically finding a file within your database, or doing a search for multiple files or a list of files to form a playlist within your video player. There's also an automatic floating video feature that keeps the video playing and stuck to the corner of the screen, picture in picture, while the user's scrolling. You've got autoplay, you can disable right click, you can disable full screen. There's a bunch of customization and really nice features in here. All right, so first thing to do, on the plugin page on the ZeroCode website, we have a few links to check out first. The first is the live demo button here. This will open up a pre-built Bubble app made by ZeroCode that has the plugin already installed and working, so you can explore the feature set from the point of view of your users. So we can see here, we have a playlist here. These are the videos that are playing at the moment, and we can look at a count of the videos in the playlist based on the Bubble search parameters. We get media info, we get custom controls and custom volume controls and speed controls. We've got repeating groups, and everything that the plugin can do is contained here in this demo app. So have a play around with this to see if it has the functionality that you're looking for your users within your app. All right, back to the plugin page. The next button is the demo editor. Now, this is what we just saw, the same app we just saw, but from the Bubble editor point of view. So you can go in and kind of pull it apart, see how it all works, see the settings that are set up here and how it's put together, as well as the workflows that are attached to each button and each workflow on the page, and how to enable the functionality that we saw in the demo app without installing the plugin in your app. This is a great way to confirm the functionality you're looking for before installing. As well as those, there's a documentation link here. Now, this goes into every bit of instruction you need to install and run and set up this app. Again, we have links to the preview apps and the demo apps, as well as full setup screenshots and instructions, a list of all the properties and what they do. And then you've got example actions and workflows and how to do certain things like setting custom playback positions, pausing, muting, playback speed. Everything we saw in the demo app is all documented here. So between those three links, that should give you everything you need to fully customize this plugin to suit your app's needs. The last thing on this page is our intercom link in the bottom right here. If you have any questions at all about installing this plugin, before you install, while you're installing, getting certain functionality, send us a message here. We would love to help out. Okay, let's jump into Bubble and look at how to set this up. The first thing we need to do is get this plugin into our app. So on the left-hand menu here, click on the Plugins tab. And then in the top right, add plugins. And in the search bar, we're going to type HTML5 Video Player Pro. And here is our plugin by ZeroCode. Now, you've got two options here for installing this plugin. There's a once-off payment or there's a monthly subscription. The subscription is the most risk-free way to try this out, as you're only charged for the individual days you have this plugin installed on your app and active. So you charge pro rata. So if you install this plugin, use it for one day and decide it's not quite right for you and you uninstall it, you'll only be charged for that one day, which in this case is $5 a month. So $5 divided by 30 days. It's not a lot, and it's a great way to try it out before committing to a larger purchase. All right, get that plugin installed and let's jump over to the editor. So we're here in the design tab. Now, to start things off, we have a new element in our elements list, our assets list. If we search for HTML5, you'll see an HTML5 video player element. Drag that onto the canvas. This is mine here. And this is the player. This is what we need to install. So this is a relatively simple setup for this plugin, which is great. If I click on, actually, I'm going to drag a new one on here so we can see how this looks fresh, completely fresh without any changes. All right, so I've selected the video player here, and here are all the properties we have to customize and change things around. So let's have a look at the list. Up the top, we have the maximum file size for the video we're allowing. I might change that to 100 megabytes for this example. Whether we want to enable file uploads, I'll say yes for this one. Now this here is where we specify where the video is coming from. So we can upload an actual static file that we have on our hard drive. We can have a dynamic link. So this could be doing a search in our database for a video that's saved in a field for one of our data types. Or we can do a video playlist. And that will do the same thing as the one above. We can do a search for videos in our database, but this would be as a list. So there's multiple videos that we playing through in this playlist. So what that might look like, if I click the pre-existing one I prepared earlier, in dynamic link, I have search for videos, first items, video file. And that's corresponding to, in our data types, I have one called video. And inside video, there is a field called video file with the type file. And in our app data, under videos, I have two items here that have video files in them. So all this is doing here is searching for videos in my data types, taking the very first item in that list, and then taking that item's video file. Underneath that, for the playlist, I've done the same thing, but instead I've said search for videos and get each item's video file. So that'll take each one of these. There's only two here for now, but if I had a whole list, it would go through each one in the playlist. I could then also put in different constraints and say, however I structure my database, only ones that have a certain tag or ones that have a certain parameter in the data types. All right, let's continue down. We have what we can set for our thumbnail if we want to have a separate static image for our thumbnail or a dynamic image, which we can pull from the database as well. Now we have some options for customizing how the video player behaves. So we can autoplay. And this is a good time actually to look at this button here. So every single one of these has a show documentation button underneath it, which links to the documentation we saw at the beginning here. So we can either be referencing in the documentation or it can be referencing in the actual editor. What this one is saying is the video will automatically start playing. However, we need to be aware of some browser limitations. So if the video isn't muted, it may not autoplay on certain browsers. Really handy to have these little documentation snippets here. And we can go through, we can see if we want to loop the video, disable auto full screen, or hide the video controls on the player if we want to have our own video controls, and so on and so forth. Muted, the volume, disabling right click. If we want to start the video at a certain time code, hide the full screen, hide the download. There's so much here you can customize and make this behave exactly the way you want it to behave within your app. Now, all of these down here are talking about the floating video player, and this is a bit easier to show. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this example one here. And we're going to go with our the one I previously prepared that actually has video files here. So I'll click preview. So here's a video I had prepared of just me waving at the camera, working well. So I haven't disabled any of the on-screen controls. So they're all here, which is working nicely. However, if I wanted to hide the native video controls and put buttons on here and link each button to control the video itself, we would do that through workflows. So I might put a button here that says pause. And let's add a workflow to that. Into an action, I'll search for HTML5. And we can see an action here that says pause an HTML5 video player. I only have one on the page, our player A. So clicking the button will now pause the video player. Let's try it out. I'll press play and I will press pause. And there we go. This button here is now a custom video control button. So we could go through and put in our own styled buttons here with play icons and pause icons and make this feel completely native to our app. And then back in Bubble, we could press the button here that says hide native video controls. And that way all the controls will be done through our own buttons and our own controls. Okay, nice. Now let's go back down to what we were looking at before with the floating video, floating video player. So this option here, floating video position. So we can disable the floating video player entirely, or we can set where we want it to be positioned. And I'll say top right for this one. Now for this to work, this keeps the video player playing as I scroll past its position on the page. Now right now, our page isn't tall enough for me to scroll at all. So I need to put something else on the page so that we have an area to scroll. I'll just put a shape and I'll put the height as 2000 pixels. Now we have a nice tall page. Let's preview this. Now I'll press play, I'll start scrolling, and once the video goes out of position, we'll see it stick to the top right. There we go. Video is still there. I'm scrolling up and down the page. So this is a nice kind of YouTube picture-in-picture type effect, keeping the video playing as the user explores more of your app. They might be reading your description. They might be checking out some supplementary information about the video. Great for documentation as well. Okay, let's look at the next thing here. Let's have a look at some playlist options. So the video playlist source we saw before, and the way I've set it up here is search for videos. So this evaluates to a list of videos. And then we want to get each item's video file one by one. Now we can, change the sorting if we want to by upload date or modify date or any other field if we have a numbers field in our database. For now, I've set it as the default. So what will happen here, the first video will finish playing, and then the second video should start automatically. And the first video I have here is, I think, only 8 seconds, so it won't take long at all. Let's press play and see what happens once this video finishes. All right. That's finished automatically. A new video started loading right away. Let's grab this video from the database. And here we go. Video is playing. And as we just saw, if I scroll, the video keeps playing in the top right, working nicely. Now, if I had multiple videos in my database in the list, they would just keep going through to the next, to the next, to the next. And as we saw in the live demo here, we can also display the videos that are in the playlist. We can display the title, an icon to play. We could even have a thumbnail here if we have a thumbnail attached to each video entry in our database, and get a nice little playlist feeling here. The last thing I want to do is have a look at some of the workflows that are attached. So I have a button here. We saw the workflow for pause, so we had the button there. I have another one here for next video. And what that does is it moves immediately to the next video in the playlist that we have set. So I can jump back to our preview, refresh the page, press play, click next video, and that will jump straight to our next video right away without waiting for the first video to finish. We can have a look at some of the other actions that are in the workflows attached to this plugin as well by searching for HTML5. We can see we can set a custom playback position, so we could jump ahead by 10 seconds or back by 10 seconds with a custom button. We can pause the player, as you saw before. We can play a player, change the volume, toggle mute, set the playback speed. There's a lot here that you can customize and run the entire thing off your own custom elements and your own interface within your app to make this feel very, very at home within your app's design. And if we jump back to the documentation for a moment as well, we can see here all the actions in the workflows we just saw and what it will look like to set that up. So here we go, increases the video player's volume up by 1 step. Sound down does the same. We can toggle the display controls and autoplay and restart. There's also states we can look at as well. So triggers that cause certain things to happen in our app based on what's happening. So if a video is playing, we could change something on the front end, or if it's paused, we can do the same thing. Here's a quick example. Let's put in a text element here, and we'll say video is paused. We're going to set a condition here. We'll say when HTML5 video player A, when it is playing, we're going to change the text to video is playing. So now as we pause and play, this text should change automatically. I'm going to center that quickly, actually, so that we can see it a lot more easily. And let's just put some margin on top so that it's not stuck to the button. Okay, back to our preview. All right, text says video is paused. I'll click play. Now it says video is playing. And I'll click pause. Now it says video is paused. So there are a lot of interesting things you can do with the user experience in your app based on these states. You could set the whole background to black once a video is playing so that there's a nice cinema feeling. Or you can obviously hide and show pause and play buttons based on whether the video is playing so that there's no play button visible when the video is already playing. It changes to pause. So I would highly recommend going through the live demo app that we saw here to see many options for how to set up and customize this particular plugin for your app with all the functionality that's available. But that's it for us. We've set up our basic video player. We've brought in a dynamic video file as well as a dynamic playlist. And we have buttons that can control the actual playback and behavior of the videos in the player with our own elements and our own buttons. And we looked at some conditional states and sticking the video while the user scrolls. And that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope this is helpful. And if you have any questions at all, reach out, send a message. We'd love to help out. Happy building.